Well, they are in the,
hold on. Democrat.
They're almost just as bad as the 7-party system that we have in Canada, and people say essentially eliminate.
Well, I remember what Trump did. I feel like I could sit down and I could probably write a dissertation and prove that these parties are more similar than they are different so easily. And then when you look at the fact that Donald Trump, like, they throw it right in our faces. They throw it, they're all buddies. They all hang out together. They go to the same parties. You know this, Viva. Come on right now. Mika Brzezinski was at Mar-a-Lago for like 2 days. Okay. And now
I don't know if she was there. I don't know if she
Yeah.
was there for 2 days. I know they were there, and I gave both of them a hard time, including
It was
Trump.
a multi-day. Okay. Listen, these guys are in the same circles. Bobby Kennedy,
well, they are in the
liberal Democrat.
They're in the same circles means nothing because they're
We're
rich.
not in it, Viva. We're not in that circle.
We're in another circle. We're on the circle of Earth. We're all in the same circle. But it's obvious. Like you work in law, and I was I don't know if you know, I was a lawyer for 13 years, and it's a niche community. Like everybody knows everybody. And to say that I would be guilty of whatever other lawyers were guilty of because I know that we go to cocktail parties, it would be preposterous. But just above all else, false. So the fact that they're in the same circles, and they met. And I say, what the hell is Trump meeting with these snakes for? They're never going to be his friend.
Than us. Because he's always been a lifelong liberal Democrat.
Yeah, but now you're reading intention. I try to go with a rationale. I try to go with a rational explanation. What does he think he's doing? Maybe he thinks he can get in their good graces and have them run good media, as if anybody needs that media.
That is classic Trump.
I think it's classic. And I think it's stupid because I don't know who the hell's watching. I don't know what their ratings are compared to like lowly schnooks like myself in their home studios. But I know, the thing is, there are a lot of people who are, MAGA insofar as you say. I won't name names, but there is that element. There's going to be that element everywhere. But the idea that Trump is somehow immune from criticism, because you float the idea, and yet some of the most viral-ish comments, tweets, engagement right now are about his bad picks. It contradicts the theory, but it's selective viewing because you go over.
I think that we have abilities now to mess with the algorithms a little bit because of the organization that has been built out of the medical freedom community and out of the movement against lockdowns. And so I can tell you, Viva, that I am in constant contact and communication with medical freedom warriors all over the world. And we are sharing, we're on text chains together. We are off of Twitter. We're on side groups. And so these discussions, the decentralization of media is amazing, right? I mean, I'm living proof of it. So listen, I'm very optimistic about where I think that we can go. But I think personally, I think the first step to emancipation is for the American people to emancipate from the two-party political system.
You can tell me what that means, but the other thing is to say, well, what I would do in a system that doesn't exist. If people, at least there's one.
Until it does.
It was either Trump or Kamala. So I don't adhere to the lesser of two evils because I think one was actual evil, and I think Trump hopefully will have learned from his mistakes because I don't think he was evil. But you live in a two-party system, and by the way, it's not much worse, or it's almost just as bad as the 7-party system that we have in Canada. And people say, "Oh, the two-party system is the problem. We need a parliamentary system like Canada." And you realize you can have 7 parties, but you still have a two-party system anyhow.
I don't direct my audience to centralized political solutions. So that's not a part of what we do on the Shannon Joy Show. So we report on what's going on in Washington because they are a threat to us, and we need to know where the threats are and what they're going to do to us. And we've been, as I mentioned, I've done probably 6 or 7 in-depth shows with some of the most brilliant economic and financial thinkers. We've dissected Bitcoin, we've dissected the currency, the dollar crisis, inflation, what is going to come in, the first round of Trump's presidency.
I'm neither here nor there. The only thing I've come to the realization about is that we were lied to about the most fundamental aspects of geopolitics from day one. I unapologetically support Trump this time around because if he did not get elected, it would have been ratification by the actual, what I believe to be the deep state. You don't have elections anymore. But then there is no arguing with someone who says it was all a big play. They're all the same people, and the deep state let Trump win because Trump's part of the deep state. Like, there's no way to disprove that. What I believe is a thoroughly idiotic theory. And I say that with respect.
I think I've proven it. I think that we prove it every day, so I don't think it's idiotic at all. I think it's a very valid theory. And I would say that there are a lot of political analysts. I mean, you can go back to, Bill Clinton, his mentor was Carol Quigley. And Carol Quigley wrote a piece that was this thick called Tragedy and Hope. And Carol Quigley laid out very clearly how the erection of a two-party political system that offers up a false choice at every cycle is the way the oligarchs want it. They do that on purpose because it gives us the illusion of a choice.
But Shannon,
and so I'm just saying, when you say it's very foolish, when you say that I'm very foolish for positing that, what I will tell you is there are some great thinkers, and seminal pieces of political theory that have been written over the past 30 to 40 years by people much smarter than me, people who have influenced people like Bill Clinton, that will say essentially the exact same thing that I'm saying.
Yeah, but
I can go down the list with you.
It's almost a truism or a tautological, is that it's a two-state party, and so anybody who gets involved in it is going to be part of that, and therefore it will be true all the time, even as much of an outsider as Trump was. It's a two-party system. The second he gets involved, he's part of this Uniparty, according to you.
And I'm saying that's why I advocate, from my perspective, again, we're about truth, about what is happening, what Washington D.C. is going to do to us next so that we can survive, okay? Because a lot of people didn't survive the vaccine, Viva. A lot of people.
Okay. First of all, I know more people.
Guess who was out there getting arrested and losing her platforms and getting suspended from Twitter and all the things, because every single day I'd go on my show and I would say, wait on that vaccine. Just wait. There is clear, like every single day. All right.
I remember the moment where
what I do, I don't have all the answers. I don't know everything. And I hope that I don't come off as like, too much of a, like I think I know everything.
There's nothing about.
I don't, I promise. If I thought that the answers to all of this were in DC and that Trump somehow had them, if I really thought that, I would say that I would tell that to my audience. Okay. But I have to come in every day and tell them what I really believe. I really believe that Washington, DC is not the solution, cannot be this. It's too corrupted. And the only way for us to survive with freedom, a Bill of Rights, fundamental natural rights that we were given at the formation of this country, is if we decentralize and we become ungovernable. We refuse to comply with unjust laws and mandates. We set up parallel systems, parallel organizations. We embrace localism over globalism, and we get ready to resist any new Department of Defense, military martial law. You notice that both Donald Trump and RFK Jr. have promised us on day one that they are going to declare new emergencies, one for immigration and the other in terms of health. I'm gonna be right there opposing that. Like, you
sure, but go ahead. And had they not I listened to the RFK clip, and had RFK not said that he's going to declare an emergency on the child health epidemic, you'd be there on day one saying, "Why aren't you taking the child health epidemic?"
No, I wouldn't.
Okay, well, the thing is, you say you wouldn't. We can't know what you would do or what you wouldn't do. But this is where I say it is consistent. It's criticism regardless of what happens.
Everything is centralized. Because I criticize all the time because it's always the same solutions that never implemented and never ever work.
When RFK said he's going to declare an emergency on public health, do you think that he said, I appreciate he said like COVID, and I think he said that for another reason, not for lockdowns and forced mandates. What do you think that they're going to do? They're going to implement emergency measures to lock things down, or to potentially eliminate certain toxic ingredients?
I remember what Trump did. The last time he issued an executive order and declared a national emergency and locked us down, I really didn't like it. So I would.
But you say that he locked us down again, which is, it's not to absolve him.
The declaration of a national emergency puts in place a mechanism, and there are special powers, new authorities that are put in place that are very, 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 very dangerous to fundamental liberty. And so there is no reason. It's a straw man, Viva. This idea that the only way to solve. RFK's talking about food. He's talking about red food dye number 7. He's talking about fluoride. They're not even talking about vaccines. It's not even you. If you look at maha.com right now, you will know vaccines and pharma are not even on the list of agenda items.
So the criticism here again is not in what he's saying. No, but but a blind criticism, or at least
blind. It's wide open, eyes wide open.
No, because you're saying it is kind of, I say blind. You're right. It's targeted because no matter what he does, no matter what he says, it'll be a problem in terms of what he says, or it'll be a problem in terms of what he doesn't say.
That's simply not true.
Well,
you go to maha.vote. It's Make America Healthy Again.vote. That is one of my little organizations, and we're gathering signatures, and we've laid out very clearly exactly what we would like to happen in order to make America healthy again. And it starts with eliminating pharmaceutical liability protection that has been enshrined for the past 20 to 30 years in this country and was expanded under the emergency declaration of Donald Trump in 2020. Also, we would like to see an end, some type of national ban on any type of mandate. So any type of vaccine mandate, any type of course from any entity for any reason whatsoever. So we're very specific. And there, I could offer up to you probably an agenda item list of 100 things that I could get behind in a second. It is not my fault that they don't put those things out there and they don't talk about those things. That's not my fault as an analyst.
Well, first,
as an analyst, I'm going to talk about the things that they're saying, and everything is bigger government. It's lockdowns. It's more centralized authority. It is never a devolving of power from Washington, D.C. It is always making them bigger. There's
a number of things where sorry is doesn't necessarily mean what you're saying is right. You have an element of the government that's going to eliminate jobs, reduce the size of the federal government. You have RFK, who's been out there for not just months, not just maybe decades, talking about the vaccine schedules and the correlation to disease. Now you're reading into the fact that after he's appointed, or at least appointed to the HHS, he's not talking enough about it, but he's talking about red dyes. He's talking about fluoride, which has been correlated to lower IQ. He's talking about chemtrails. All of a sudden, people don't want to talk about that. And now it's not enough. And he's overtly, conveniently eliminating.
I'm saying it's an issue. It's an issue that we're keeping an eye on.
Good. Okay. But then give him credit for saying that we're going to eliminate we're going to tackle childhood obesity and we're going to tackle a public health.
No, I'm not going to give credit if he's going to issue a nationwide emergency declaration. We can do all this without issuing an emergency it is a grotesque abuse of power for governors and presidents to issue national emergencies over and over and over so that they can grab more power. I don't like it. I would say the majority of conservative Republicans and people who lived through the last declaration of a national emergency understand this. And you don't need to do that in order to achieve the agenda items I think that RFK wants to put out. Same with the border and immigration. In fact, Daniel Horowitz over at The Blaze put together a beautiful piece about all the things that you can do to rein in the immigration problem and actually effectively deport all of the illegal aliens in this country without a national emergency. We don't need martial law. We don't need an emergency declaration. We can use the laws already on the books and just good old common sense actions to solve that problem. But they always force us in to this straw man solution that empowers the very people who have subjected us to tyranny in the past. And I'm just not into it.
Well, I agree with you in terms of, I agree with you if that's what the plan is in terms of the emergencies or declaring an emergency. I think they do
it. They can achieve everything now. Trifecta power, Viva. They have.
No, but I don't disagree.
They have the
that's not what. But that's not what I don't.
Anything they want.
That's not what I don't disagree with you on. What I disagree with you on is your understanding of what they mean when they say we're going to declare an emergency on immigration.
So you know what they mean. You know what they mean.
Well, I'm not saying I do.
You don't know any more than I know what they mean.
No, but you're the one talking as though they're going to implement camps and lockdowns and
they said
camps.
No, Viva. They said we are going to issue an emergency on day one.
Let me play the clip.
And on day one, we're going to declare an emergency like we did in COVID, but it's going to be a chronic disease emergency, and we're going to get the fluoride out of the water. We're going to get the chemicals out of the food. We're going to get the chemtrails out, the chemicals out of the chemtrails, and there's 1,000 ingredients in our food that are banned in Europe. and we're going to get rid of all those chemicals. And I know how to do it. And
I think that's effectively enough of what we do. So the question is this: we both heard the same thing, and one screen, two films. You hear it and think they're going to go COVID lockdowns.
No,
and
I take him for what he says.
No, but Shannon,
he said he's going to lock us down on day one, and he's going to talk about fluoride.
Wait, hold on. When did he say he's going to lock us down on day one?
On day one. Oh, sorry, I totally misspoke. On day one.
Oh, I think you interpret, but so we hear the same thing, and what I hear him saying is a sort of rhetorical. We're going to go after a real problem the way we went after
something specifically. Viva, you're an attorney. He said on day one we are going to issue a nationwide emergency like COVID.
Here. Let's hear it again.
Like COVID, an emergency like we did in COVID.
On day one, we're going to declare an emergency,
like we did in COVID. Okay, so what was the emergency with COVID? What accompanied that?
No, but Shannon, I mean, we hear the words. The question is, what do you?
I take him at face value.
You do, but that's nice. That's like when the media pretends not to get a joke because they want to use it against him and make believe that he said something literal. So, but when did they talk about FEMA camps to export immigrants? Because I heard it, and I feel like I missed something in terms of talking about locking down so they can deport illegal immigrants. Like this is where, Shannon, the thing is, we agree on 90, I would say 90+%. The centralized power and the abuse of emergency declaration, I was complaining about before COVID because up in Canada, they canceled Halloween because of a windstorm. Like, mother effers, I will send my kids out in the weather that I think is proper for Halloween. You're not going to cancel Halloween. But it's where I believe that some things come out and you say things that actually discredit what would otherwise be what we should all agree on. Yes. If they come down with emergency measures that I don't even know what they would look like in terms of banning food dye, then the question:
if they're going to do it, why not just take them for face value? Why do you feel like you need to change it?
Because if someone says it's the best meal I've ever had in my life, I'm not going to necessarily say, oh, you mean that you've never had any better meal in your entire life.